Uh, First, I'd just like to thank Michelle Martin again for just an incredibly inspiring presentation. But I would also like to begin on behalf of the ANPDF to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I would also like to pay a special thank you to our venue host, the Flurry, allowing us to host the conference here in their building. And as well as a general thank you to all of our speakers who are donating their time to present us with their expertise and their insights that can only help all of us, whether you're a researcher or a family member. Now, I'd like to introduce a woman who many of us are familiar. She is the proud mother of 2 NPC boys, and not only the founder of the Australian NPC Disease Foundation, its current president, but my Batman. Please welcome Mandy.
Thanks, Dee. I hope I'm not going to talk too fast because I do tend to go quick when I'm nervous. But anyway, welcome everyone here in person and virtually to our 5th annual family conference here at the Florey Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. Each year we are treated to a wealth of information about research, current drug trials and projects all focusing on NPC disease. This year is no different, and we'd like to welcome our speakers who have given us time to present today and tomorrow, with a special thanks to those who have travelled from international countries. Our lovely Dr. Caroline Hastings, who joins us from the United States of America and is also becoming a familiar face to our events here in Melbourne, this being her 3rd trip, I believe. Yep. And I only learnt today that there was some fellow people come from the States as well that we didn't know were coming, so welcome to you as well. We also welcome for the first time, and I hope I get your name right, Orna Starters Chakham from Israel, and of course those who were unable to attend physically but join us virtually. The ANPDF is here to support research, families and raise awareness for our Australian community. This year marks 10 years since we first learnt that NPC research was happening here in our own backyard at the Florey Institute. Ironically and sadly, it was at a fellow NPC family's adult child's funeral that I first learned of this from Professor Mark Walterfang. NPC mice had been purchased from the United States to commence research that Dr. Yahui Hung was working on from Chris and Hugh Hempel's contribution to science. Ironically, Chris and Hugh Hempel were the very first parents that I actually spoke to on the phone on learning of my own children's diagnosis of NPC some 7 years earlier. Some of you will know of Chris and Hugh being such a big contributor into NPC research, following the diagnosis of their 2 beautiful girl twins, Addie and Cassie, who they tragically lost on the same day a few years back. In fact, our Caroline Hastings, who is here today with us, was Addie and Cassie's clinician and worked closely with his lovely family. On learning about the research, we were told that there was no funding available to keep the research moving forward and the mouse colony would probably die, thus bringing any hope of Australian research to a halt. That's where we stepped in as a foundation. Since then, research has evolved, some with negative results, but others, like Yahui's current research using mRNA, is moving forward with funding that our Australian NPC Disease Foundation provides to the Florey Institute every year to continue. The Australian NPC Disease Foundation has donated over $500,000 to this research and continued to contribute quarterly to Yahui's work. That's an amazing feat for such a small family organisation to come up with that sort of money. We've been holding our main fundraiser events here since 2019 in the way of a corporate function, with this year's event being Saturday night at the Timber Yard in Port Melbourne. These events take a lot of time and money to host, and it has been Deanna and Andrew Carpino who've been leading the way in organising these magnificent fundraisers here in Melbourne. It's a huge job logistically around organising a corporate event for an average of 400 people to a scale that the events are now known to the followers as an amazing evening.
On top of the main event, we've had other smaller fundraising events arranged by our committee of families living with NPC disease. Again, taking precious time away from our caring roles and work to contribute big or small into continuing the research that hopefully one day will help our NPC patients find a better treatment option and work towards eventually finding a cure for NPC disease. But these sorts of events, even though smaller, like raffles, open days, bunning sausage sizzles, all come at a cost, both financially and emotionally for those who run them. We seem to see the pattern that many charities see, with the same people doing all the work. This is where we need your help in making lighter work for our committee members to allow us to continue to contribute to this crucial research currently being explored. The committee as a whole do not all live in Victoria. We have families all around Australia. We have had successful raffles and events being done in New South Wales and Queensland by supporters of our little Tommy, which all help us to pay our quarterly commitments. This commitment is for our families, by our families, and all for the same purpose of having hope for our loved ones living with Niemann-Pick disease. Some of these families, in fact, won't have time on their side to benefit their loved ones, but still contribute for those who do. So if you're sitting here thinking, what can I do to help? We've seen from the likes of Martin and Michelle, from smaller fundraisers, there's always things to do. Come find us in the break and we'll talk about it together.
So we're talking about raising money, and the old saying goes, you've got to spend money to make money sometimes, right? This is very true. But you also must have the physical time, the right skills to have a successful event, and to create it in a way that you can get attendees to spend their money to raise funds. This is where this year our committee decided to have our very first paid position in the way of a general manager to help with all of this. We needed someone with the same passion as our families, together with someone who had the skills of marketing, web design, because I sure as hell don't, and of course, great organisational skills. We also needed that person to be able to understand Niemann-Pick type C disease and to have the same insight around the disease to explain this to others. This is when we approached our very own Deanna Carpino to consider taking on the position, as she was considering returning to employment following the birth of little Tino. Deanna brings all those skills and more to the table, and who better understands the disease of NPC than a parent? Deanna has spent most of her time since her appointment arranging everything from this conference and the Minds in Motion event this weekend, and has done an amazing job. Together also with her husband, Andrew, who has the gift of the gab, and he has worked so hard in securing valuable sponsorships for the event. So thank you so much, you guys. You're just amazing. By having Deanna in a part-time paid position, this has allowed this remarkable event to come together without the huge cost of having to hire an event organiser company, which is what we've had to do in the past. We all work, we've all got kids to look after, some of us have got businesses. There's just not the time and the energy that it takes, as I'm sure Marty and Michelle can tell you, is huge. So a huge thank you to both Dee and Andrew for their incredible work again this year.
Another opportunity came our way in hiring a project coordinator. We had been working on the Australian guidelines for NPC patients alongside some wonderful clinicians under the guidance of our then board secretary, Pip Johnson. Again, time poor with working, bringing up a young family, farming, and not to mention travelling to Adelaide every 2 weeks with Tommy's treatment. It all took its toll. We needed to find someone with insight into the disease and understand living with NPC to be able to take over the role to complete the project that will benefit our Australian patients nationally. Again, our committee had the opportunity presented to us by Ali Van Velsen, a young, intelligent woman who had just completed her Master of Genomics and Health, who also has the family connection to NPC disease by way of her cousins Matthew and Timmy Lloyd. Ali's contract is hot off the press, and she has already started working part-time. We hope she will be able to present a significant update at next year's conference. Last year, we again attended the biannual ANPDF face-to-face meeting. This time it was in Spain and attended by Mandy. We were able to make connections with pharma companies and researchers from around the world. These meetings are the beginnings of trusted relationships with those in the know and give us the opportunity to present the need for drug trials to occur here in Australia, as well as other countries. Australia being so far away from everywhere else, it is used to be forgotten until we were able to make our presence known at these meetings. We continue to fight for our families to be able to participate in these trials. Through those international connections, we've been able to have patients in Australia participate in 3 different drug trials in NPC since 2016. Our companies are now looking at Australia as a country with the patient numbers and the network through our foundation to bring their trials down under. the ANPDA meetings have also opened up a great connection with the ANPDR, and we now have an ambassador here in Australia representing them. Again, this is Mandy Whitechurch. You do a lot. We are moving forward with the ANPDR through the Royal Melbourne Hospital as the first hospital on the registrar in Australia. Sullivan will be presenting more on this tomorrow on both the ANPDA and the ANPDR in his presentation. Behind the scenes, many of you won't know that there is always more work to be done. We are constantly attending Zoom meetings, many internationally at silly times of all the hours, to maintain our relationship to other countries in the hopes that new therapies will come our way through drug trials. We also attend regular meetings or webinars hosted by the likes of Rare Voices Australia and Childhood Dementia Initiative and any other relevant stakeholders to work together for better treatments and awareness, not just for Niemann-Pick, but for other childhood dementia disorders. We have also brought to light a new personal passport that is available here today at the registration desk for your NPC loved one to have on hand for those emergency hospital runs. It is fully customizable to each individual, and it can provide a lot of the information required by your clinician to save us parents from having to repeat the same information time and time again. It's a small little project and one that we're thankful to the Enviro Print Group for donating their services towards. The ANPDF goals have never changed. We're still here to support families, to support local research and create awareness around Niemann-Pick diseases, including ASMD, formerly known as NPA&B. You'll hear more about ASMD from Justin Hopkins in his presentation tomorrow.
You didn't turn mine onto the right page. So we're always on the lookout for grant opportunities, but that alone can be a full-time job, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack, sometimes for something that we would be eligible for our cause. I don't know how many grants I've looked into to think that we might qualify for that. Oops, no, rare disease, can't do that one. So we're very thankful to the Florey Institute and Yahweh for applying for grants with our input into that to help with some of her research. So we also have provided grants in the way of our continual contribution here to the Florey research by Yahweh, but also to international events like the NPC Swiss this year. NPC Swiss hold an international science conference every 2 years, and with this year our own foundation contributing financially too. Yahweh will be attending this meeting for the first time, which is an invite only and includes many names in the research, clinician and scientist fields. All these specialists come together as a group and discuss research ideas collectively and work together to try to make sure that the wheel isn't consistently being recreated. We're very proud of our involvement in this event, and I believe that we are the only individual country outside of the MP UK Foundation financially contributing. With all this research and funding talk, we haven't forgotten our families, both past and present. We have an adult patient liaison person who is our go-to for the adult's family, and paediatric liaison person for the little ones in PIP. I'm the adult one. Both being mums to NPC, obviously, so we get it. We're aiming this year to host virtual catch-ups at regular intervals, so as families, we can all get together, talk about our experiences, yell, scream, swear, whatever you do when you live with NPC, and just be able to talk to somebody who actually gets it. Because until you've lived this and walked this walk, you just don't. On our families, I would like to take a moment to honour our angels with photos of those known to us who have gained their wings. Sadly, the number of angel photos are increasing each year and families' hopes are lost. Please consider what it is that you can do to help us in our journey of finding a cure or better treatments for NPC patients, not only here in Australia, but around the world, before too many other wings are gained. I'd like to thank you all again for your attendance today and tomorrow, and the families especially. Florey Institute for assisting us get a grant across the line to bring the families all down to Melbourne here from other states as well. So we've all get together once a year. It doesn't happen very often. There's a lot of tears shed. There's a lot of hugs, as Flick said, but there's a lot of memories made too. And we're all here for, very unbiased environment. We always say no question is a stupid question. Us as families aren't scientists. We don't understand a lot of the technology. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would know what a towel is, or what's that other thing? Sphinx something or other. Mark will be able to talk about that. Spingle? That's it, yeah. So the science does get us all, but we're lucky in having our clinicians on board that do break it down for us and are great when we actually say, can you talk about that in English? They're really good at doing that for us. So thank you all for coming, especially international guests, and so great to see all the families. So thank you.